Welcome to the 5-day High Income Health Expert Challenge. Today we are kicking off the next 5 days that is designed to help to engage you, to give you the clarity so you can monetize your health message online and be able to get your health message to the masses. We've got some special things that we're going to be sharing this week, but first of all, while you might be wondering, is this really for me? Am I a good fit for this? This High Income Health Expert Challenge is designed for you if you are a health enthusiast and you want to know how to monetize your knowledge online. Not only for you, but also you can think about who do you know that would also be interested in attending an event like this that could help them to get their message out to others, because a lot of times these challenges are so much more fun to do with accountability, with a partner, with a friend, and to help them to be a part. Also, if you are a health educator who you've put together a method, or you have a program that's already developed, or a protocol that you want to go share with the world, maybe you've got a framework or pillars of health that you want to share with others, this challenge will help you to know how to package that into premium programs that people would be gladly willing to pay you a price for your health advice to get your program to those you're called to serve. If you're a health consultant or a coach, or you want to know how you can get paid as a health educator, as a coach, then this will also, you're going to learn some insights here. If you're a chef, a nutritionist, if you want to publish cookbooks or you have cookbooks, this training is going to help you tremendously on learning how to build community and grow your business in this regard. If you are a naturopathic doctor, we often work with naturopathic doctors or even medical doctors who are learning how to share alternative medicine and they want to share with the world. This will be great for you. If you're a health speaker or you desire to break into the speaking industry so you can get booked and paid to speak, we're going to be talking about insights that will help you there. If you're a wellness author, if you currently have books or you desire to have books, or you want to be able to, at some point in your life, publishing a book is something of interest to you, then this challenge can help you tremendously. If you're a health practitioner, you want to grow your health practice or wellness center, then you're going to learn strategies you can apply to today and this week to start seeing results for your business. Also, if you're a medical missionary and you have a health message you want to share, we're going to be talking about that. Really, anyone who has a health message you can invite to come to be a part of this challenge. Just go to highincomehealthexpert.com and we're here to walk you through the process. A little bit about myself is I had a heart attack when I was 12 years old, and I was rushed to the hospital, and they found out I was high cholesterol, high blood pressure, borderline diabetic, and I already knew I was morbidly obese. I was the second fattest kid of an elementary school of about 1,000 students. It was a shocking experience. And I realized that I had to make a decision. What am I going to do with my life? How am I going to, if I don't make changes, my life may never be the same again. Since then, I've known that I've learned that type 2 diabetes can be reversed. In fact, we help some health educators who specialize in reversing type 2 diabetes. But the problem that I realized is I was on the SAD diet, the standard American diet. And it was because one man with a health message, he learned how to package his health knowledge into a program and a book. And he sold that program to my mother, that I'm alive to tell the story today. She started sharing with me resources that she learned from this program, and I started to apply it to my life, and I was able to lose 50 pounds in 3 months, never put it back on, and I was able to no longer be pre-diabetes, no longer high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and my whole life improved in my health. And I started taking an interest in health, and I realized it's because of this man was able to get his message out to others. So this is why I'm so passionate about helping health educators to monetize their knowledge and market their message, because our mission is to empower a movement of health educators to get your message to the masses so you can save the lives of the people you're called to serve. I realize that there are other Enochs out there who are literally going to early graves because they don't have the knowledge that you have. And if we can provide you with the tools, the training, the techniques that you could apply so that more people can see the value in what you offer, that's what this challenge is about. And really, that's what my team and I, we live by and what we do. So from that experience of having a heart attack when I was 12, people started to realize that I had a story, and they started inviting me to share my testimony on different places. So I started doing cooking classes, health lectures, health seminars throughout the internet, throughout the nation, and also online and offline. And those first 5 years was challenging as far as monetizing that knowledge and making it really consistent, but it was something I was really excited about, so I continue to do. I've been fascinated with digital marketing since I was 12 years old. There's something about being able to leverage the internet to get a message out to people, to make a difference, to earn passive income. It was just something that was interesting to me. I subscribed to Smart Passive Income newsletters. I'd read each of those issues and just learn of what are people doing for digital marketing. And I realized that also a lot of health educators don't understand some of the digital marketing principles of what's working now when it comes to health. It's so easy to talk about our health knowledge, our health education, and all this stuff, and it's fun. But then when it talks about price and charging or packaging your knowledge into premium programs, that's where things start getting confusing. And building a business, it's like the Wild West out there, and I get it. So in this challenge, we're going to demystify and simplify some of this, some of these things. But I realize that a lot of times when you don't pay for something, when you come for free, then people don't seem to value that as much. So what I want you to do is I want you to pretend like you paid $10,000 to attend this event. And my challenge for you is, are you willing to commit to being here this week, do the assignments, and treat them like a class that you paid $10,000 for? Because those who really go committed during this time, who show up, who arrange their schedule so they can attend, they're going to get the most out of this. This is where you're going to be able to grow the most. So type committed in the chat if you are committed during this time to show up and learn for this process. I know when it comes to business, there's a lot of different voices telling you what to do. And if you were to go to Russell Brunson, he'll tell you a sales funnel is the way to monetize your knowledge in 2026. Daryl Eves, he's going to show that YouTube marketing is what you have to do. And Peng Joon is going to talk about Facebook ads and how Facebook ads is a consistent way for getting traffic. Sean Cannell, he's going to tell you about video marketing and video influence. And this is how important video marketing is. And Pedro Adao will talk about 5-day challenges and how 5-day challenges is really going to change the business for you. And I'm doing these 5-day challenges because I learned from him and I find them helpful. Myron Golden will talk about selling from stage and creating premium offers. We see that David Shands talks about podcast marketing. Steve Larson talks about selling through webinars and launching offers. And sometimes when you hear different marketing tips or principles from different mentors, a lot of times they have like conflicting advice and everyone's saying different things, and it can leave us feeling a little confused, right? And I get it. So what I want to do during this challenge is I want to simplify this process. Can we all say simplify? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be pulling back the curtains of my millionaire mentors and the lessons that I've learned. And a lot of times people, what they'll do at a challenge is they will pretend to sell you something. They'll pretend to teach you something when they're actually just trying to sell you something. This is not that. In fact, during these 5 days, I'm going to actually teach you. I'm going to actually give you strategies that work with you and help you to understand the foundations of marketing, of what's working today. And I will make an offer at the end of the challenge for those who it makes sense to. They'll be able to extend the learning environment and they'll want to continue to grow through this process. And for others, it won't make sense. That's totally fine. But our goal is that during these 5 days, you're going to get step-by-step guidance and really just help challenge you to take action, get momentum moving into the new year. So this day, what we're talking about is the secrets to attracting clients who desire to pay you. How many of you want clients that are going to pay you and actually eager and excited to pay you? So that's what we're going to be learning. The first secret is this is how to get leads, how to build relationships and solve problems at scale even while you sleep. You know, as a lot of times health educators, they come to me, they're like, Enoch, how do I find people to sell my stuff to? And I share with them that you don't find people to sell your stuff to, you make yourself findable to those who already desire to buy what you desire to sell. Because here's the reality. Right now, there are currently hundreds of thousands of people who already desire to buy what you desire to offer. But the only problem is they don't know that you exist yet. So how do you make yourself findable? This is what we're talking about, lead generation. How do you attract high-paying buyers? And that's why the real question that you want to be asking yourself is, how do I make myself findable to those who already desire to buy what I desire to sell? And one of the ways that we do that is through what I like to call creating lighthouse content. Lighthouse content is something I talk about in my best-selling book on high-ticket health coaching, where I talk about in this book what I call the lighthouse effect. And the lighthouse effect is very simple. I want you to imagine that your clients are lost out at sea and they are being tossed to and fro without a map or a compass, and they're about to make shipwreck of their health. And they're in this darkness. There's a lot that they don't understand in uncharted waters. And there's two ways that you can save lives in this situation. You could be like the search and rescue and go scour the deep blue ocean and go find and search for them. Or you can establish yourself as a lighthouse. You can let your light shine, solve problems in the marketplace, and then by creating lighthouse content, and you could attract your ideal clients. So they start coming to you as a beacon of hope, a beacon of light, a beacon of instruction, education, and advice as a trusted advisor. And what lighthouse content allows you to do is you go from chasing clients to then attracting clients. You stop being an annoying pest and you start being a welcomed guest. And this is something that really changed my perspective when I started to learn about this, what's known as attraction marketing, where instead of constantly chasing down people and hunting and finding and looking for others, what you do is you position yourself as an advisor. You're able to provide content. In fact, we have in 2 Corinthians 4:6, Jesus says, "For God who commanded the light to shine out of darkness has shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ." And he shows that you are the light of the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hid. We want to let our light shine. And as we let our light shine, then people will start to come to us. How do you let your light shine? Is by solving problems about your topic. If you want to help people reverse type 2 diabetes, you talk about diabetes, you talk about insulin, you talk about the weight loss, you talk about the energy fluctuations, and you create videos that provides clarity on some of these confusing topics. And Jesus said that whatsoever you have spoken in the darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which you have spoken in the ear in the closet shall be proclaimed upon the housetops. So when you are learning through YouTube, learning through your classes, your course, your education, your degrees, your certifications, or your life experience, these private conversations that you've had access to, the fact that you're so enthusiastic about health, these are the types of things that God wants us to go proclaim on the housetops. Now, back in Jesus' day, the housetops were literal housetops that you would see speaking and the crowd would gather. But in today, our modern housetops is like social media. We got platforms like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. And this is the place where you want to be able to share and post your content, be able to share with others. So an example is like we have Dr. Kadisha. She's here with us now. And we've been talking about lighthouse content. She's been learning this. And literally just by posting her first video, she's recording these short videos and posting them on Facebook, like what we shared. And we're helping her with her signature speech. And then being able to what happens is you create one signature speech, and that provides all of your content for the whole rest of the year. And she's now creating these short videos, these 60-second videos, and she's got hundreds of views on it, and she's got tens of people who are engaging, showing an interest, raising their hands, saying, "I want to know more, tell me more," who are interested in her reversing diabetes message. And it's because when she's letting her light shine publicly, it makes a huge difference. Now, before this, She was doing a lot of one-on-one working with people. She's been working in this field with clients, but she realized that the one-on-one work is limitations, and she wants to be able to spend more time with her daughter and spend more time doing things that she enjoys. And so by posting these videos, she's now reaching hundreds of people, and over the course of time, it's going to be thousands, and then tens of thousands, and then hundreds of thousands, and then it reaches beyond the furthest shore because you create this habit of posting video. Then other people find out and they want to work with you. So you could also, Lighthouse content looks like publishing a book. You could publish a book that could be used. There's also guest interviews. You could be a guest being interviewed on other people's platforms, or you can ask experts to show up on your stage. That is an option as well. You could post blog articles. There's YouTube videos. You could do health seminars. That is an example of Lighthouse content. Even this challenge that we're doing is examples of Lighthouse content. We had another client of ours, Hollis. He was talking to me this week, and he posted on TikTok. He was doing these short videos that we were telling him to do, and he's like, "Look, I've got several videos that have 200,000 videos on TikTok." And people are asking, "We did what you told us. Comment bestseller below if you want a copy of our book." And he's posting value video with a little call to action. And that call to action, he's got people loaded up on TikTok all asking him to buy a copy of the book that we helped him to publish and get to #1 bestseller. So this is something that is a lot of health educators are not looking at. And what we've done is we're actually providing, recently we invested in a software that's called Contact Keeper that's going to make it so much easier to publish content consistently. In fact, in Contact Keeper, you also get a social media platform that we're providing for all of our students. They get access for a bonus access for free for the Contact Keeper. And in this software, it's a social media planner that allows you to be able to post this one video, just like with Hollis. He records a short video and he posts it on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. He might post it on YouTube or other places. But the cool thing is you're able to maximize the lights that you create. If you create that one video, a lot of times you can post it on multiple platforms with little extra work. It's all right there in Contact Keeper. Makes it so simple for you to publish at one time, and then you just select what accounts you want it to to distribute to. And before, we used to have subscriptions that you'd pay $30, $40 or $10 per platform, but all of this is included for free at no extra cost in Contact Keeper. So it makes it easier to schedule your content to be consistent in letting your light shine. How many of you want to be consistent with the content that you publish and share, and have the system for automatically distributing content where your ideal clients are actually listening to? Type me in the chat. So that's what we're making this more simple than ever before. And one thing that I would recommend when you're dealing with content is to never give for free what you couldn't otherwise charge for a fee. And what do I mean by that? I mean, you don't want to give cheap things away for free, or things that the quality that you provide, it has to be stuff that is so good people would be willing to pay for. But my goal when I'm creating content, I'm always asking, my goal is to provide more value in my free stuff than most people charge for. And what I want people to think is, wow, if Enoch's free stuff is this good, imagine how much better it is when I pay him. And this is what your audience is going to hear too. When they've learned lessons and they've gained insights from you, then they start to see, wow, you have something to share. And you know your stuff. And by speaking, having something to say and learning to say it well, like with our speaker training, then this is what makes people want to line up to sign up for your programs. In fact, even during this challenge, my total health marketing knowledge is a lot deeper than what I could share in this week. I can't just I can't share everything I know in these 5 days because I mean, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 10 and a professional speaker for over 11 years now. So to be able to condense the knowledge that I have, I'm just giving you the best of the best right now. Some of the, I guess, the introduction, to be honest, but I can't pour out everything. So that's why people decide to work with us and extend these learning calls and these learning environments so we could support them throughout the week. And that's what people are going to do when they're listening to you. I had a conversation with Dr. Kendra Lee, who's a client of ours, and she was saying there's this one lady, before she became our client, she was charging $1,500 for one-on-one service, and she was having a hard time selling it. In fact, there's this one lady who was saying that, it's like, you charge too much. And it's like, how could she even think about charging $1,500? That's too expensive. And then when she was working with me, I was like, $1,500 for one-on-one? Like, that's really low. You're selling a premium vehicle. Let's raise your price. Not just raise your price, but let's learn to increase the value. And by crafting an irresistible offer and learning how to communicate the value so people are willing to pay more premium prices. And so we doubled her price. It's $3,000, no longer one-on-one. It's now a group coaching program, and they get pre-recorded access afterwards. And after we doubled her program, not only did she have 3 people sign up on one sales call, we showed her exactly how to modify what changes to make in her consultation calls so that they would actually convert, because what she was doing was applying the same kind of consultation that she learned from school. And what these health certification programs are teaching you for consultations, well, that's going to get information as far as finding their medical history and their symptoms and things they're going through that will help you to be able to identify the health problem and then prescribe solutions to fix their problems, but it's not going to convert to paying clients. One of the biggest problems that a lot of health educators face before they come work with us is that they're doing consultations, but they're not leading to high-paying clients, or sometimes any paying clients. It takes a lot more work and a little payoff, and people get burnt out or frustrated doing those. So what I do is we have a system for conducting consultation calls that actually leads to high-paying clients. Dr. Kendra Lee was able to employ those phone selling secrets, and she was able to sign up 3 people with one of her first calls. And then on top of that, one of the ladies later down the line who ended up joining her program, it was the same lady who said that she was too expensive. And how could she charge $1,500, right? Now she's charging $3,000. She gets on a sales call, and one thing that we teach our students to ask is like, why have you chosen to work with me? Why not other people? Like, why me specifically? And she said, well, because you've given so much value on Facebook. Your videos, you clearly know what you're doing. You have answered so many questions. I've learned a lot from your free content, and I want to be a part of your coaching, your boot camp. And it's amazing to see how the people that used to be haters now become buyers and clients and premium clients. So what I'm teaching you about this Lighthouse content works really well. In fact, Dr. Kendra Lee came on one of our events, and she's like, look, what Enoch's teaching about the Lighthouse content, this is not just about teaching stuff. It's about, he's showing you how to build a brand, how to create a reputation that is able to be profitable so that you can increase your credibility and actually attract new clients. And she's like, this has been phenomenal in my business for doing that. So this is what happens. And in fact, we've had people who've watched our free stuff, like Jay Razuk, who's a business lawyer for health professionals. He's like, look, I have paid over $5,000 to get access to the advice you're giving away for free in your videos. And Christy, she also attended one of our free events, and she's like, look, I've paid $10,000 for programs, but what you're providing is more helpful and more personal. And while the other ones, they're so big, I get lost in a crowd, but I find this even more valuable than those $10,000 purchases she's made, because we're actually walking her through and we're doing it in a personal manner where you're not just a number, you're an actual individual, and we work with you. We work with our clients, and you're not going to get lost in a crowd. We have ours intentionally small so that we can work with people and give them the attention that they require, and that's a blessing for you, blessing for us. And we charge a premium so that we can dedicate premium attention and support to the people that we work with. So another thing that you want to do is when you're making yourself findable to those who desire to buy what you desire to sell, right now they're already clicking they're researching you, they're trying to figure out we're living in an age where people are no longer just going to purchase. They're not just going to buy. They're going to be asking about, what are other people saying about you? What does the internet say about you? So they're going to Google you. They're going to be searching in AI. They're going to be asking questions. So you could do what I like to call a Google test. And that is where you type in your name on Google and see how many of the front pages of Google do you own. Because the problem is many of you cannot be found with the help of the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, and a private investigator. It's like you just don't exist. You don't show up anywhere. So what we've done is we're actually providing in Contact Keeper. We have a way that you can manage your reputation, that you can collect reviews. You can automatically invite people to leave reviews on your Facebook page, on your Google My Business profile, or on Amazon or your podcast or wherever you collect reviews. We have a reputation management system that will automatically help you to collect some of the best testimonials, so that in this age where people research before they buy, you will be able to, in a sense, control the reputation and allow. We've made this automatically baked into our Contact Keeper system that makes it a lot easier for you to collect and manage those. In fact, we're working with Regine, aka Mommy Mango, online. She's got over 2 million followers, and she's got thousands of success stories that she didn't really have the most robust way to keep track of her content, comments, and people's testimonials, and all these people who've had their lives totally transformed through her program. And now we're working with her to consolidate all of her reviews and case stories and success stories all in one place. And it makes it so much easier to be able to convey when you teach and when you share. So you're not just saying health principles, you're actually sharing stories of people who've had success with the things that you teach or share. Does that make sense? So in Contact Keeper, you could do this. It makes it very easy. Not only that, but Contact Keeper allows you to build your website and to be able to we got preloaded templates where you don't need heavy tech people that just literally, I was sharing, there's grandmothers who are using this system to be able to build their websites. And they're not very technical grandmothers. They're people who are able to walk through. It's just drag and drop, be able to type. If you could edit a document, you could build a website, which is amazing. And you can have a website up in minutes. So that also allows you to own and dominate the space for search engines, so that when people are searching diabetes help, your content shows up, your face comes up, your brand, your programs, your products, so that the people who have cash in hand, money ready to buy, they're able to go through your system and buy from you. In fact, I was creating Lighthouse content, and a health educator, saw my video and must have shared my platform with her husband, and I got this message. Taylor sent me, who became a client of ours. He said, I'm Myra's husband. She told me about your health coaching business, and I praise God for it. I was in a call. Oh, would you know, last week, I was in a call to get coaching for my online business for $6,000. I prayed and waited upon the Lord, and look what happened. Here you are. I love Jesus. His ways are best. And then he sent me a screenshot, and he said, is this you? And he was asking, and the screenshot was him looking me up on Meta AI to asking, who is Enoch Leffingwell? And this is what AI had responded when he was doing research before choosing to work with us. says Enoch Leffingwell is a renowned entrepreneur, business coach, best-selling author, and international speaker. He's been fascinated with internet marketing since he was 12 years old and has been an entrepreneur since he was 10. Enoch helps health coaches, speakers, authors, and other health entrepreneurs get paid a premium for their advice by creating premium coaching programs. He has delivered over 3,000 presentations and has received training from industry leaders like Myron Golden, Russell Brunson, and Brendon Burchard. Now, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's one thing if I say that about myself, but when your client is researching you and now AI is saying this about you, because now we're living in an age, it's not just Google and YouTube, people are searching. There are a staggering number of people who are making purchasing decisions based on what AI is saying about your business. And the thing is, I always tell people, if you are not posting on the internet, your business doesn't exist. And by having this Lighthouse content, you're able to dominate the news feeds and the internet where people are making purchasing decisions because of what's shared on social media. So if you want to put yourself in the channel of blessings, the path where people can communicate to you, and it's never been easier than before because of Contact Keeper to allow you to get your websites online, to control the conversation that's being made around your brand, and to schedule and post consistent content that converts so that you could attract high-paying clients. It's never been easier than before because we're providing all the tools in one place, which is really nice. So the secret number 2 is this is how you could pick a topic when you are looking to monetize your knowledge. In fact, I attended this event. We paid $3,000 to get access to this, and it's an influencer summit. Everyone at this event was learning how to monetize their knowledge online through courses, books, podcasts, and membership sites. It was such a very eye-opening experience. And in fact, every speaker from stage was making at least $1 million a year from their training. And one person was Natalie Hodson. She really caught my attention because she was telling her journey about how she just had a health transformation, just an average regular mom who learned that her dietary needs changed. I don't remember if it was like gluten-free or something to that effect, but there's some sort of diet that she couldn't do anymore, and she was looking for recipes. So she started looking for recipes. She started a blog, just a written blog to document her favorite foods or some of the exercises she was doing, and that journey led into a bunch of mothers getting on board, getting excited, being blessed, and also who had similar diet restrictions, finding solutions that could make sense. And then it opened the door for her to be really starting to have more influence online. Carmen, could we plug this in, please? The monitor. Thank you. So she started having more influence online, and it got her opportunities to be able to share live in front of audiences of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people. But what she found is after she had her baby, her bladder didn't work as well as it used to, and it started to leak when she exercised, but that's not good because she's an exercise fitness influencer now. And so what happened on national live stream, she had an accident where she peed her shorts while she was exercising. It was super embarrassing. So what do you think Natalie Hodson did? She turned it into a Facebook ad, and she targeted mothers who've had their baby or having some challenges. And because she, being a smart marketer, understood that she could partner with a specialist in women's physiology, and she published an ebook. It's not even a physical book, it's a digital book called Abs Core Pelvic Floor. And what she did is she turned her mess into her message. She partnered with a specialist and solved a very specific problem for a very specific person. And think, did I get those ads being a male CEO? No, I didn't get that. Was it just any woman on planet Earth who got those ads? No. Was it young women who's never had a baby? No, it was mothers who had a baby that when their bladder is no longer working the way that it did. She solved a problem. She chose to be the mentor she wished she had when she was in that situation. And even by learning to solve her problem, she ended up publishing a $37 ebook, and she made millions of dollars in ebook sales alone. And then she built a speaking business on the back end of her book. Does that make sense? So if a lot of times when you're trying to pick a topic, you can turn your problem into your presentation. One of the best sources you could find is what were the challenges you faced, and then you start sharing that journey and people follow that. That's why I call documenting your journey. You don't have to be an expert to get started. Even if you have a health challenge you're not fully overcome, you could walk down that journey, and it makes such a powerful difference. So secret number 3 to attracting clients who desire to pay you, there's really 2 primary ways to get paid to speak from stage, to share your message and impact lives, both online and at offline events. And the 2 types of health speakers are this. Number 1, you can either speak for a fee, and that's where they pay for your travel, they pay you a speaker fee for the slots that you share, and that could be pretty lucrative. In fact, I remember my first paid talk was life-changing for me because I was 17 years old, and I spoke in this hour slot where they gave $100 for this hour slot, and I wasn't expecting the $100. I was like, what is this for? And the event organizer was explaining to me that, well, we wanted to pay you because we pay all of the speakers here. In fact, those speakers, we pay for their flight, their hotel, their food while they're here, and we paid them per speech, and we also gave them extra depending on what came in for the event because they've got families to provide for. But you're in high school, you don't really have those other expenses, but we wanted to share to pay you as well. And I just remember that was a day that I became psychologically unemployable because I was like, you mean to tell me there are people on this planet who get paid to be able to share their message, something that I would gladly do for free, but they could actually get paid for it, and not just getting paid peanuts, but they're being paid enough to provide for their families, to do this for a living? I was like, say no more. And it was from that point forward, I dedicated the rest of my life to figuring out everything I possibly can about sharing a message, both online and offline, in a way that's sustainable, that could provide for a family, that could be able to support the life that I believe God is calling me to live. So that was life-changing for me. In fact, part of the reason why is because the job that I had before this in high school, I was making minimum wage, $8.50 an hour at this Model T train company, and where it consists of taking plastic pieces, twisting them off, putting them in a bucket. Grab a plastic piece, twist, put it in a bucket. It was mind-numbing work. If you've ever worked on an assembly line, I can't stand that stuff. And it was exhausting. And if I were to work, let's say I worked for 10 hours, which being in high school, that's not going to happen. But let's say if the max I could get paid is $85 for an entire day's work. I just figured out a way to make what I used to take an entire day that I now made in an hour. And if you look at how much a family physician, a doctor, gets paid in 2012 when that happened, a family physician was getting paid about $96 an hour. I learned when I was 17 years old through speaking how to make more money per hour than a doctor. And this was like real, it was opening my eyes where I was like, there's something to this and I need to know more. And while I was speaking at an event, there was someone else who heard me speak. And they said, are you willing to travel and share your messages over at this conference where there's 3,000 people? I said, yeah, I'm willing to travel. So I got paid to travel to go share in 2012 and 13. So it was, I got my first plane ticket, was paid through speaking. The first time I ever stayed at a hotel, I was so excited. I literally just took a photo. Like, this is me when I was probably 17, 18 years old. And it was the first time I've ever been in a hotel because I grew up like on welfare. We were a poor family. We just didn't have that kind of money. We could barely afford to go to McDonald's to buy $1 cheeseburger once a year. So this was like very different to me. I was the first time that I was able to visit the East Coast, and this is the first time I traveled alone. There was a lot of first times here. And you know, as I reflect back on it, I realized so many people, like even during the holidays, people will pay to go take their family on these vacations and they're forking up thousands of dollars to go to these events. But as a health speaker, you get to get paid to travel to these dream destinations. In fact, we have a client, Melanie, who she went through our speaker training and she is getting paid $30,000, $40,000, $25,000 to speak in Bali, to do events for corporations. She's going to Dominican Republic and she's going to these dream vacation destinations and she's getting paid to be able to speak there. I mean, it's something very different than a lot of people experience. In fact, even Ray Janae, she joined our program, and while she may be comfortable recording videos online, she's very new to the speaking industry and how to speak in person at live events. So she got contacted to speak we helped her book this speaking engagement for this women's hormones event. And there we helped her to navigate the sales, or how much to charge and what to cover and how to handle that. And so we negotiated, she got paid $7,500 to give a 45-minute speech in front of an audience of her dream clients, where she's going to share the stage with Dr. Barbara O'Neill's. And she was so excited about it because, first of all, never in her career has she been, we taught her how to create a $3,000 premium program. She's never been paid $3,000 from one transaction in all of her years in business and in working. And then she was able to sell 2 programs in one back-to-back call, or one day. So she had her first $6,000 day. And then now she's having her first $7,500 hour. And they're not only going to pay for her, they're going to pay for her daughter to go with her to the event and give her more time to explore the area. And so she's going to have this mini family mother-daughter vacation while sharing with everything is tax write-off, tax deductible. And it's just like speaking opens the door to do so many incredible things that we otherwise wouldn't be able to do. And one thing that we've done through Contact Keeper makes it easier than ever that when you speak, you can now collect leads from the stage that will automatically you could provide an offer with a QR code and it'll automatically join your contacts. It will be able to follow up with them, give them free bonuses while you're speaking, and you could capture, I call it a crowd capture, but you're able to capture new leads as a business, which I believe speaking is one of the best ways to be able to build your business, especially in 2026. There are so many event organizers, thousands of events taking place every day and in America, and they are looking, and online, and they're looking for health speakers just like you to fill those slots. And they've got budgets to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars to hire speakers that specifically design to budget for speakers that come and speak at their events. In fact, Warren Buffett, he stated that arguably my public speaking course was arguably the best investment I've ever made in my life. When he's asked what was the best investment, and he's made billions of dollars in investing in companies, he always says it's his public speaking training, because he was saying anybody who learns how to speak publicly can raise their value at least by 50%. And that means that, and what's interesting is that what I learned from Dave MacArthur, who was one of my first millionaire mentors, he taught me about this law of compensation. And the law of compensation states that money is the results of value added to the marketplace. You never get paid on your time. You never get paid on how much you know. You're not getting paid for those things. What you're getting paid is for the perceived value you're adding to the marketplace. How do you add value? Is by solving problems. So one of the ways that you're able, so every dollar that you have in your bank account is a direct reflection to the value you have added to the marketplace. Not your value that you have to God, but the value you have to the marketplace. They determine what's valuable. And public speaking is one of the most profitable professions in the marketplace. One of the most highest paid professions is being able to learn how to speak to an audience. And that's what Warren Buffett is kind of speaking about here. And as health educators, we've got some serious advantages that the health professionals who are not speaking do not get. So the first type of health speaker is those who speak for a fee. The second type is those who speak for free. Now you might be saying, Enoch, why is speaking for free have a larger money bag than speaking for a fee? And I'm glad you asked me. Let me tell you, because when implemented correctly, learning how to speak, not just speaking, like even you can profitably speak for free. You can do profitable health talks by learning how to speak to sell, because there's a big difference between speaking to teach, like what I did the first 5 years, and then learning how to speak to sell. What I learned from Dave MacArthur, who he made over $12 million on the back of one signature speech. And where you don't have to change the message, you change the audience, and it feels new to them because it is. And what happens is that when you are speaking to sell, you're crafting one signature speech, that everything in your message is educating closer to a sell. You're not just spitting out facts and figures and scientific research and statistics and all this stuff that just floods their mind but does not flood your bank account. You are one thing that Dave MacArthur taught me, and on the left, he's a blue in the middle. He was a mechanic who turned millionaire, and he was able to lose a lot of weight, and he started teaching people about cellular cleansing and how life-changing this could be. And he took me under his wings, and we started going on speaking tours, and I got to see him sell from stage over 100 times. And each time I'm learning something different, and we could talk about it in the car and figure out why things were said that way. The one thing he shared with me is like, look, Enoch, facts tell, stories sell. Instead of just giving straight facts, you want to tell stories that can address people's concerns or fears or objections, what would prevent people from buying. So what I learned is that you can speak in a way that you're addressing concerns. So by the end of your speaking, then people are able to sign up. They don't come with concerns, they come with credit cards ready to purchase your health programs and invest in what you do. And so that was the skill that I started learning. And that is the one skill that helped us to make over $500,000 in our health education business on the back of one signature speech. This is a skill that helped me to start making $10,000 a month in my early 20s, is by learning how to speak to sell, because there's a big difference from speaking to teach. A lot of health educators will come to me and it's like, oh, I got a lot of content. I know exactly what to say. I got all this stuff. And it's like, well, if you've been teaching for years and that teaching is not putting large zeros into your bank account, then chances are there is going to need to be some re-education or some learning a new way to present your health ideas in a way that you could still transform, change lives, but do it in a way that's actually profitable, that's sustainable. I like how Brendon Burchard said it. He said that if you don't make the money, then you can't sustain your message. And we want to do both because they're both very important. And how many of you want to be able to sustain your message, right? And you want to get your message out there in a way that you can do it for years to come. You don't have to worry if your doors are going to close or not, or where your bills are going to get paid from tomorrow. So I was at this event, and I remember meeting Nick Unsworth. He's a man on the right. And there was about 1,000 people in the room, and they were teaching like faith-based entrepreneurship, which I've never heard anything like that before. I'm like, you mean to tell me all these people believe in the Bible and Jesus and business? And I'm like, these are my people. This is really cool. It was kind of like the influencer event, but it was more like biblically based. And one thing that they did is they sold this package. It was like a $3,000 program. It was a course on how to publish a book. And for $3,000, they had about 300 people. You could see the size of the room. Literally, they had a line from the front stage around the corner, about where I was standing along the edge, and almost out the door in the back of the room, filled with people who are waiting in line to pay $3,000. And my friend and I were doing the math. We're counting like, wait a second, $3,000, 300 people. And we were seeing how many people showed up. I'm like, whoa, they just made over 6 figures in this 1 hour presentation. And I was like, this is amazing. And the moment that they got on stage, I told my friend too, and within the first couple slides, I told him, look, this is a signature speech they're going to sell. And I could see that it was coming. A lot of the audience wasn't aware, but using very similar principles that I teach my students, I knew what was happening. But when I saw it, I saw they made over 6 figures. And that was one of the first times that I realized from one speech that someone could do a 6-figure day. That was very eye-opening to me. And I wanted to learn how to do that. And I started to continue to explore and understand that. One mentor of mine I had was Ron Meinhardt. I had the honor to spend several months with him over in Washington, D.C., and he was a former medical director of Uchee Pines. And one thing, he traveled around with Dr. Agatha Thrash, who is one of the founders of Uchee Pines, this Institute for Healing and Wellness Center. And he traveled with her around the world with her presentations. And he shared with me, after traveling with Dr. Agatha Thrash for 8 years to her many speaking engagements, one of the biggest lessons she taught me was to have a signature speech, was to have this set slides that you go through, that you understand. She knew that wherever she was speaking, she knew what she was going to cover and the gist. I mean, sometimes she'd switch the sequence or modify slightly, but for the most part, it was basically the same message, but it was a different audience. And for me, that was very eye-opening, because here I'm seeing this health speaker who is financially providing for his family and all his daughters full-time doing health seminars. And I got to go with Ron Meinhardt to several of his health seminars, and I noticed a pattern. He had very professional slides. He had a polished message. He had a very clear, well thought out, expressed manner. And I was just like, this is amazing. And it's interesting because a lot of the people that I know who are speaking full-time and doing this, they're not as professional, and they don't have as many professional assets as this man did. And for me, it was eye-opening because I had delivered over 300 presentations before that, and each one I had started from scratch. Each one took hours to put together. And I was under the impression, because I had a limited leader who gave me some advice that said that each presentation needs to be different, and I can never repeat the same one. And I've since realized that is just not effective or necessary. But instead of recreating, starting from scratch every time, you create one signature speech, which becomes like an infinite sales message that you could share again and again without losing its power of persuasion. It's like one of the most highest leverage things you could ever do in your business. It's among the top. That when you have a sales message, you have a message to market match. That's really in the beginning, from going from 0 to 6 figures, the most important thing for you to do is identify that message to market match, where you have that offer and that product market fit, where people are willing to pay based on the offer you have, the message you share, and then the market that you're selling to. As those things combine, that's what helps you get from 0 to 6 figure. Now, scaling from 6 figure to 7 figure, that's a different ballgame. But this is one of the most important things. And we were over in Washington, D.C., and one thing that I realized is with the director of this ministry we were working with, I had the opportunity to travel in the truck with him while we were traveling. I realized that they had a large budget. They had finances. They had talented leaders. They had some amazing resources that I've never seen before. And I was traveling in the truck, and I was asking, how is it that you're able to have all these resources and you're in ministry? Well, everyone I know in ministry, they're broke, they're poor. I'm like, what's going on? And he took me in Washington, D.C., and he took me to this house, and he's like, see this house over here? I said, yeah. And he's like, that's the house that I grew up in. And it was just a few blocks from Capitol Hill. So, he said he came from a family of politicians. They're a very affluent family. In fact, he said in the Bible, there are biblical financial principles. When you understand and you apply those biblical financial principles, finances is a result. That was the first time I've ever heard this before. And I thought, well, then that's amazing, because can you teach me those financial principles? Like, no, I don't really have the time or capacity to right now. But at least it got me on a journey. And then he took me down the street to a country club, which I've never heard of this before. He said, do you see this club here? Yeah. This is a membership that my family paid $250,000 a year to be a part of. I said, $250,000? You could buy a house with that. Who in their right mind would pay $250,000 a year and on a subscription to be a part of this membership? And he said that, well, you have to understand something. One thing that wealthy people value relationships more than money. And that was a light bulb that came on. And he said one relationship may be worth like a $5 million deal. So that $250,000 is an expense. It's an investment because you get a return on investment from what you get. And I started thinking about that, and it was hard for me to fathom at the moment, but little did I know that I would end up spending $55,000 to be a part of a mastermind with other other educators and coaches and speakers and podcasters to learn from them. Because what we were doing at this mastermind is we're speaking about having 6- and 7-figure days. And that's the only times that people get awards. While most people are most business mentors are rewarding like 7-figure days or 7-figure years or 6-figure like milestones, or even like just total in their entire business. This room was only like how to have a 6-figure day from selling your programs from stage. And I was learning this, and I thought, this is amazing. Now, I didn't have my 6-figure day, but through this process, I did learn how to have a $40,000 day. And $40,000 isn't like a whole lot of money, but if you think about learning how to take what it used to take you to make in a year, and you learn how to make that in a day, like that's a pretty like eye-opening experience to realize in your 20s. So that skill has opened the doors to even have other days like that before. So I was able to collaborate with speakers who are having 6-figure days, 7-figure, 8-figure days. Like there's multiple occasions people literally made $10 million in a day. In fact, Alex Hormozi just recently made over $100 million in a day in selling his books. And he did that live on national live stream, international live stream. And so he broke a world record for selling the most books in a day. So that was pretty cool. But what happened was, through this process, our mentors were pulling back the curtains. The industry leaders and the people that we're involved with, we start to see how these people are breaking these limitations, and they're doing it through creating a premium mentorship program and learning how to sell from stage, and you selling your program. In fact, we just had Dr. Kadisha. After we helped her create a signature speech, she spoke over at this fire department, and she was sharing her health talk at the fire department. And the first time that she shared her signature speech, she got 3 people who are ready to sign up to her premium mentorship program. And that's the type of stuff that you don't usually see or hear about. But if she would have taken the knowledge or the style or the manner in which that she was planning on presenting this stuff, I guarantee you she would have made far less or attracted far less clients through that process. But because she's been showing up to the training and applying it and working with our team to build out her signature speech, she's got it. She's grasping the concept. She's understanding how to attract people both online and offline. And she experienced what we know as like a table rush, where when you're done speaking, there's a rush of people who come to the back and they want to sign up and buy, and they want to work with you. They want to know more. And that was an amazing experience for her. And so we were able to coach her through how to navigate those situations in the future. In fact, here's an example of Dr. Razia. She was struggling to get one-on-one clients for $400, and we helped her to automate a system for booking calls and a sales script of what to say on the call. We helped her to craft an irresistible offer, make a signature speech, and she got her first $3,000 client within her first 10 days of joining our accelerator program, having no prior business background or experience. So how many of you would like to get paid from sharing your signature speech? Type yes in the chat if that's you. The cool thing about this is you have the ability that when you learn how to sell from stage, then you can deliver profitable health talks every time you open your mouth. In fact, here's an example, or here's a screenshot of an event that I spoke at. There's a school that trains naturopathic doctors, and I spoke, and in this screenshot, there's 26 people in the room. And from this one talk, this brought me a total of $26,500 into our business. And this was a free event on Zoom that I spoke for less than an hour. So when we start learning how to sell from stage, it becomes a very profitable process. And when you have tools like Contact Keeper to automatically follow up with them, to be able to collect the payments, then it makes selling one-to-many so much easier as well. So the, what is this? We got here, oh, I see it. So on day 4, we're going to show you 12 ways to profit from a signature speech without charging speaker fees. You definitely want to stay tuned. That Sunday, we're going to go into that in more detail. So for your assignment today, I want you to go live in the challenge, and I want you to share who you are, why you're excited about this challenge, and then share what is it that you want to solve, or who do you want to serve during this time. And so some book recommendations, I recommend, I believe the Bible is the greatest business book ever written. There's no greater marketing plan than what you could see from the example of Jesus, who in 3.5 years shared a message to the masses that have reached billions of people and has created the #1 best-selling book to ever be written. You think there's a thing or two we can learn from the #1 best-selling book? I believe so. So the lessons we see about service, about communication, about tact, and then like word of mouth marketing and sharing testimonies and stories, and I mean all of it. This is where everything that I learn about marketing, I learned from the Bible first. Or if I learned it, then I'll trace it through the scriptures, and if the Bible doesn't teach it, then I don't teach that. So that's where all of my business advice comes from, the Bible. And you can just go straight to the source and get some of the best advice you could find. And then if you also want to know how to attract more clients and get traffic, which traffic is the eyes, the ears of your ideal clients, to get the attention, get on the radar, then this book, Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson, is a phenomenal book. It's very powerful. And then also, there's Hook Point by Brendan Kane. He teaches you how to stand out in a 3-second world, how to come up with hooks and titles. There's also Business Secrets from the Bible by Daniel Lapin. All of these are on audiobook. They're available. And this book will really open your eyes as far as business, because a lot of times we have limiting beliefs about business, about maybe we think that it's stingy or rude or greedy, or we have these financial challenges and wealth wounds that we go through. This book is really insightful when it comes to that. I've listened to it on audiobook multiple times, and each time I learned something different. It's really, really powerful. And he kind of explains how, from a biblical perspective, how to shift your ideas there. So what we're talking about today was secrets to attracting clients who desire to pay you. This is day 1, and we're not done, but tomorrow we're going to go into even more depth, and we're going to be talking about the key to selling while serving. So you could serve people at the highest level while still being able to stay in your message and make more sales into your products and your programs in a way that's able to provide for your family and help your clients to actually desire to do that. So this is the end of day 1. It's been a blast so far. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We've got great things in store, and upgrade to a VIP. Join the VIP so that you can get backstage, get your questions answered. You can ask me anything about your business, marketing, content, things that we talked about or things that we haven't, and we'd love to see you backstage to help support you. But until next time, remember, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. Have a great day, and God bless.